Let me be very clear, I don't do drama. I avoid it like a pothole on a dark highway. I've always kept my distance from my extended family for a reason. But when my mom asked me to attend a small family dinner, I thought, what could possibly go wrong? The answer? Everything. I had just received my annual bonus, a hard-earned $9,800 I'd been counting on to finally pay off the last of my student loans and maybe take a real vacation. I'm a systems analyst, and this year had been brutal. I'd pulled double shifts, covered for a laid-off coworker, and even helped rebuild part of the server infrastructure from scratch. So yeah, I earned that damn bonus. When I arrived at my parents' house, I immediately sensed something was off. First red flag. The driveway was full. Cars parked on the lawn. Someone's actual RV blocking the neighbor's mailbox. Second red flag. Noise. The small dinner sounded more like a wedding reception. I pushed open the front door and froze. 80 people. Yes, 80. Balloons, streamers, catered food, a DJ, and a banner over the fireplace that said, "Welcome, baby Emily." I don't have kids. I'm not married. And I sure as hell don't know anyone named Emily. That's how my mom spotted me. She rushed over in a sparkly red dress, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "No joke, isn't it beautiful? We spent your bonus on family joy." I blinked. "You what?" "Oh, come on. Don't be so dramatic," she laughed. "We're celebrating your cousin Jamie's baby. Isn't that worth it?" I felt like I'd been sucker punched. Jamie is 22, lives with her boyfriend in a one-bedroom apartment, and as far as I knew, wasn't even out of community college yet. I didn't authorize anything. How did you even get access to my bonus? She waved her hand like I'd asked her how birds fly. "We have the joint account you set up for emergencies, remember? I just rerouted your direct deposit last week. Don't worry, we only used a little." A little. There was an ice sculpture in the kitchen shaped like a stork. I stood there in stunned silence as distant relatives I barely recognized clinked glasses and passed around baby-themed cupcakes. Then came the worst part. Jamie strutted up to me, very much not pregnant. She rubbed her flat belly, giggled, and said, "Surprise! We're manifesting the baby energy." What the hell does that even mean? I didn't say another word. I nodded slowly, turned to my mom, and said, "Noted." She smiled, thinking that was the end of it. It wasn't. That night, I went home and poured a drink. Then I opened my laptop and logged into every banking platform, payment processor, and account my name touched. Turns out, Mom had used my login for the shared emergency fund. But I'm the one who set it up. I still had full access, and I was about to go scorched earth. I spent the next 3 hours going full forensic accountant. I traced every transaction for the last 2 weeks. $500 to a party planner, $2,400 to a catering company, $300 to a DJ named Spin Doctors, $1,200 to some Instagram balloon artist, and so on. 14 transactions, all tagged with variations of Baby Bash, Emily Shower, or Family Joy. By 2 a.m., I had reversed every possible charge, flagged the account for fraud, and transferred what remained, $6,200, into a newly created savings account in my name only. Then I shut the entire joint account down. But I wasn't done, because this wasn't just about money. This was about betrayal, about the gall of turning my hard-earned bonus into a circus for a baby that doesn't even exist yet. So I dug deeper. I checked my credit. Clean for now. But I changed every password and set up alerts anyway. I called my bank and explained that a family member had committed unauthorized transactions. They took it seriously, especially when I mentioned the total. I provided screenshots, timestamps, even emails my mom had sent confirming the event costs. The fraud claim was filed by sunrise. The next morning, my phone blew up. Missed calls, voicemails, group chats going off like fireworks. "Mom, what did you do? The money's gone?" "Jamie, this is insane. Why would you ruin everything?" "Aunt Carol, you need to fix this. Your mother is having a panic attack." "Dad, call your mother back. Now." I didn't. Instead, I called my boss and took the day off. I was going to enjoy this slowly, methodically. By noon, I got a text from my dad. "You're going to want to come to the house." Something happened to the property. My stomach twisted. When I pulled up to my parents' house, there were 2 county vehicles in the driveway. Code enforcement officers. One was taping something to the front door. I got out of the car just as my dad walked up, looking more furious than I'd ever seen him. "Did you report us?" I didn't answer. I just walked past him and read the paper on the door. "Stop work order." Turns out, someone had tipped off the county that my parents were running unpermitted events out of a residential zone, hosting large gatherings, accepting payments. There would be fines, possibly thousands in penalties. And it was just the beginning. You'd think, after being slapped with a $5,000 fine from the county and having the party shut down, my family would do some deep introspection. Maybe rethink stealing nearly 10 grand and throwing a fake baby shower for a baby that doesn't even exist. Nope, they doubled down. It started the morning after the county showed up. I hadn't even finished my coffee when my doorbell rang like someone was trying to rip it off the damn wall. I opened it to find my dad standing there in a golf windbreaker, looking like he just got benched from a senior league tournament. "Son," he said, already pushing past me like he owned the place, "this has gone too far." He didn't ask to come in. He just stormed into my living room like this was still the 90s and I was living in their house. I calmly followed behind him. "Dad, if you're here to apologize, I'm here," he cut me off, "to fix this mess you created." I blinked. "The mess I created?" He turned and jabbed a finger at me. "You embarrassed your mother in front of the whole family. You canceled payments mid-process. The vendors are threatening her with small claims court. And that party was a gift. To Jamie. From all of us. You made it about you." That's when it hit me. My parents didn't think they stole from me. They genuinely thought they deserved my bonus. That it belonged to the family fund, even if they hadn't contributed a single dollar to it. "Let me ask you something," I said. "When Mom rerouted my direct deposit, was it your idea or hers?" He didn't answer. Instead, he crossed his arms and said, "If you really want to fix this, you'll put the money back. You'll tell the county this was a misunderstanding. You'll man up." I laughed. Not a soft, polite chuckle, a full, belly-deep, borderline unhinged laugh. "Get out, Dad." "You're serious?" "Dead serious. And you can tell Mom that if she touches another cent of mine, I'll press charges. Real ones." He stared at me, jaw working like he had something to say, but couldn't decide which insult to pick. Then he stormed out. 2 hours later, I started getting blocked on family group chats. By the weekend, the smear campaign had begun. Facebook status: Aunt Carol. So sad when people value money over family. Babies are a blessing, not a budget item. Hashtag Team Jamie. Hashtag some people are just selfish. Text from Jamie. I don't know how I'm supposed to bring a child into the world when my own cousin is out here sabotaging me before I'm even showing. Cousin? What? I wasn't even her cousin. We're second cousins at best. But suddenly, I was public enemy number one in the family mafia group chat. It didn't stop there. I found out from my neighbor that my parents had come by when I was at work, asking if he had seen me recently and if I'd been acting strange. They made it sound like I was going through some mental break. That's when I got serious. I filed a cease and desist letter. I drafted it myself and had it notarized. It stated in no uncertain terms that if any of them accessed my finances again, stepped foot on my property without permission, or slandered me to my neighbors or employer, I'd sue. I mailed one to my parents, one to Jamie, and one to Aunt Carol for good measure. Cue the next wave of tantrums. Mom called me at 11 p.m., sobbing. Not just crying, ugly crying. "How could you turn against your own blood? I gave you life, and now you're treating me like some criminal." "You are one," I said coldly. "You stole from me." There was a long silence. Then, voice shaking with righteous fury, she said, "You need to remember who raised you. You owe us." And that's the moment I snapped. "I owe you? Really? Let's talk about what I owe, Mom. Do I owe you for the years you let Dad scream at me? For every minor mistake? Do I owe you for turning every birthday into a competition with Jamie? For using my college fund to bail out Uncle Rick's second DUI? More silence. Then she hung up. I thought I was free. I wasn't. On Monday, I got an email from HR. Subject: urgent allegation from family member. My heart dropped into my stomach. Apparently, someone had called my job's anonymous ethics hotline and reported that I had been embezzling funds, acting erratic, and was mentally unstable. They never mentioned their name, but they referenced the bonus, and only my family knew the amount. HR was polite, but firm. They were launching a preliminary review. I nearly lost it. This wasn't just a feud anymore. This was war. So I did what any good analyst does. I documented everything. I pulled call logs, texts, banking records, screenshots of messages, and public posts. I wrote a timeline. I backed it all up 3 times. When I walked into the HR meeting that Friday, I was ready to detonate a truth bomb the size of Jamie's imaginary uterus. The head of HR, a woman named Clara, looked uncomfortable. "We just have a few questions, Mr. Dell." I nodded. "Sure. But before we begin, I'd like to provide some documentation. You might find it clears things up." I handed her a binder. Yes, an actual binder. I even used color-coded tabs. I watched her eyes widen as she flipped through screenshots of bank transfers, my mother's text bragging about the party, the hashtag Team Jimmy Facebook post with my full name tagged, and a full breakdown of how they rerouted my bonus. 30 minutes later, I walked out of HR with a formal apology. They even offered to investigate who made the false report. Turns out, impersonating someone on an ethics hotline is a real HR violation. That weekend, I blocked every single family member I had on social media, email, and phone. But I wasn't done, because now that I had HR's attention, I had one more surprise to drop. There's something you should know about my job before we go further. I don't just sit behind a screen running reports. I'm the guy companies call when they think someone is siphoning money, covering up errors, or hiding shady side deals. I build audit trails that make people very uncomfortable. So when my family tried to sabotage my career and nearly got me fired over a stolen bonus, I decided, if they wanted to play dirty, I'd show them what clean destruction looks like. And it started with Jamie's boyfriend. See, a few days after the HR drama, I remembered something Mom had said during the party. Jamie's boyfriend made the cake himself. He's so talented, he might even start a business. Back then, I ignored it. But now I had questions, because I remembered the catering invoice I'd reversed. The one for $2,400. It wasn't from a catering company. It was a peer-to-peer transfer to a personal Venmo account tied to Jamie's boyfriend. Boom. I went digging. His name was Marcus. I found his socials easily. His entire business was on Instagram. Cakes, cupcakes, fondant sculptures, you name it. No licenses, no health permits, no tax ID. Just a guy using his girlfriend's cousin's bonus to build a bakery fantasy in someone's garage. You know what else I found? A GoFundMe, labeled Baby Emily's Arrival. Support for new parents. My blood boiled. They weren't just throwing a fake baby shower. They were crowdfunding it, guilt-tripping strangers into donating for a child that didn't exist, all while funneling my bonus into cake batter and Instagram ads. That's when I made the call. Not to the cops, not to a lawyer, to the IRS. Now, I'm not a monster. I wasn't trying to get a broke 22-year-old kid audited into oblivion. But I had to know how deep this scam went. So I sent an anonymous tip with a full report. Unlicensed food sales, a GoFundMe under false pretenses, peer-to-peer payments from my compromised bonus account. I even attached screenshots. It was like setting a match near a puddle of gasoline. Within a week, Jamie called me. Blocked number. Voicemail transcript. "Hey, I don't know what you did, but Marcus got a notice from the IRS, and we're freaking out. I know things got out of hand, but this is serious. Please call me. Please." I didn't. Instead, I called my boss and took another day off. Because it was time to visit the bank. At the bank, I requested full transaction histories for the joint emergency account going back 3 years. Not just mine, the full paper trail. Legally, since it was in my name and funded by me, I had every right. And that's when I found it. My mother had been using the emergency account as a personal slush fund. For years. We're talking $300 here for family groceries, $1,100 to cover property repairs, multiple payments to an MLM that she swore she just tried out for fun, all without telling me. She never expected I'd go looking, because she thought I was still the kid who kept quiet during Christmas while Jamie got the good gifts and I got socks. That afternoon, I sent her an email. I kept it simple. "Hi, Mom. I've reviewed the last 3 years of account activity. I've itemized $12,734.89 in unauthorized withdrawals. I'll be sending a certified letter soon outlining repayment options. You may want to consult a lawyer. Love, your disappointment of a son. No reply. Not even a passive-aggressive gif. By the following week, word had spread. My uncle called me, one of the only sane people in the extended family. Your mom's been telling people you're suing her. I wasn't. Not yet. But the fear was doing its job. And then came the final straw. A letter. No return address. Handwritten. Inside was a 2-page rant from Aunt Carol, complete with Bible verses, underlined threats, and a final line that said, God sees your cruelty. And Emily will know what you've done one day. Y'all, there is no baby, Emily. At this point, I started to wonder if I was in the middle of a gaslight experiment. A simulation. A fever dream brought on by stress and the sheer audacity of delusion. But nope, it was real. That's when I made the real power move. I called the title company. Remember that property issue my dad mentioned? The one I never asked about? Well, back when I bought my condo, my parents convinced me to list them as emergency trustees. Just in case, they said. If something happens to you. Naively, I agreed. And guess what? 2 weeks before the party, my mom filed a form requesting partial access to the property's equity, using me being unreachable due to health concerns as justification. She was trying to refinance my property. In her name. That's not just theft. That's felony fraud. I filed a dispute, flagged every associated document, and scheduled a call with a real estate lawyer. Now the full weight of everything was crashing down. IRS notices hitting Jamie and her boyfriend's civil liability for misused joint accounts, property fraud investigations opening up at the title office, HR, officially logging the ethics hotline abuse as workplace defamation, and me? I was finally at peace, because karma wasn't coming for them anymore. I was. By this point, my mother had stopped pretending. There were no more fake sweet voicemails, no more invitations to talk things out like adults, and definitely no more posts about family healing. She had gone quiet, which told me everything I needed to know, because when people like her go silent, they're usually scheming. So I braced myself, and I was right. It started when my lawyer called. He sounded oddly amused. Hey, you're not going to believe this, but we just got a settlement offer from your mother. I blinked. What? She wants to pay you $2,000 to resolve all misunderstandings. No mention of a $9,800 bonus. No mention of the $12,000 plus in unauthorized withdrawals. Just $2,000 and a signed NDA. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped the phone. An NDA? Really? She wanted to buy my silence. So I told my lawyer to reply with a counteroffer. $24,000 full repayment. No NDA. And a written apology acknowledging all the fraudulent transactions and misuse of funds to be sent to my employer and the county. Non-negotiable. Their response? Absolute radio silence. Until 2 days later, when the internet caught fire. Remember the GoFundMe Jamie and her boyfriend set up for baby Emily? Yeah, I reported it. Not anonymously this time. I sent the platform a full breakdown of the situation, including the fact that Jamie was publicly denying she was even pregnant during a recent family dinner. I included screenshots, links to the party invite she posted on Instagram, and proof that the listed medical expenses didn't exist. Within 48 hours, the page was taken down. And then, 2 days after that, someone, probably Jamie's ex, best friend, because drama is a boomerang, posted the entire situation on a local Facebook group called Neighborhood Moms of Northview. That's when it all went nuclear. I wasn't tagged, but I saw the post because people from high school started messaging me things like, Yo, is this about your cousin? You legend. I always knew your mom was intense. Didn't realize she was criminal. The post included screenshots of the GoFundMe, a photo from the fake baby shower, and a caption that read, Can someone explain why this family threw a giant shower, raised $4,000 online, and there's no baby? Because I donated, and I want my money back. The comments section was brutal. This is fraud. I'm contacting the GoFundMe trust department. Wait, isn't that the same girl who scammed people with the moving expenses fundraiser last year? My personal favorite was, imagine throwing a party with stolen money for a baby you don't have, and your cake looks like that? The cake was indeed hideous. Over the next 48 hours, everything spiraled. Jamie deleted her Instagram. Marcus made his bakery account private. My mom's Facebook disappeared entirely. And then came a knock on my door. It was Aunt Carol. Full church clothes, hair done, clutch purse in hand like she just stepped out of a Hallmark film. I didn't want to answer, but my curiosity won. She gave me a smile like stale pie and said, "I'd like to speak with you, dear." I didn't move. About ending this sideshow. I let her in. Regret followed instantly. She sat down, crossed her legs, and launched into a 10-minute sermon about family unity, forgiveness, and how I had shamed everyone far worse than what your mother did. I mean, she said with a chuckle, it's not like she murdered anyone. This is just money. I stared at her like she'd grown another head. Do you think, I said slowly, that someone stealing almost $10,000 from you, lying to your employer, and trying to forge paperwork on your house is just drama? She raised you, she said sharply. You think you'd be where you are without her? No, I think I'd be further. Her lips pressed together in a thin line. So, this is your legacy, then? Airing your family's shame for likes on the internet. Oh, please, I said, standing up. You're not mad that this is public. You're mad that it worked. I walked to the door, opened it, and motioned her out. Tell Mom and Jamie I'm not done. Not by a long shot. She left without another word. But I wasn't bluffing, because there was one final card I hadn't played yet. Remember how my parents tried to refinance my property using trustee privileges? Well, during that mess, the title company flagged their activity and escalated it to their legal department. Turns out, it wasn't the first complaint filed under their names. Apparently, years ago, my parents tried something similar with my aunt's property, who now lives in assisted living. The case never went anywhere because she didn't pursue it. But I did. I contacted her. And let me tell you something, my sweet, frail Aunt Deborah. She may be soft-spoken, but that woman has a steel spine. She just never had anyone back her up. Until now. Within 3 days, I helped her file a formal affidavit that her own siblings tried to alter property ownership while she was undergoing chemo, which she believes they did by convincing her to sign some routine paperwork. We submitted it to the same legal rep handling my case. The rep was not pleased. Now, there were 2 cases open under the same family members, with a pattern. And patterns are all the law needs to pursue fraud without needing me to push for criminal charges. As of now, my parents are under official investigation. Jamie and Marcus have been ordered to refund all GoFundMe donors or face legal action from the platform itself. My mother's personal Facebook was reinstated briefly and then nuked with a final post that just said, "Some children were mistakes." The comment section did not agree with her. Meanwhile, I'm still at my job with HR on my side and a 5-figure bonus sitting safely in my new account under a completely different bank. The best part? I got a letter yesterday from the county. Turns out they did a quiet inspection of my parents' house based on a tip from code enforcement. Their backyard remodel wasn't permitted. They've been fined again, this time $12,000. I didn't report them, but I did applaud. They say blood is thicker than water. But I've learned something better. Boundaries are thicker than guilt. And guilt was my family's favorite currency, until they maxed it out and found out I'd closed the account. After the fines, the GoFundMe scandal, the failed property fraud, and the failed NDA bribe, you'd think they'd be out of steam. But narcissists don't run on logic. They run on delusion. It was about 2 weeks after Aunt Deborah's affidavit landed in the county records office that I got the text. A new number. No name. Just this, "I think we should talk." For real this time. Mom, no emojis. No pasivo-agresivo sarcasm. Just, "Hello." Which scared me more than if she'd called me the devil and thrown a casserole at my door. I didn't respond. Instead, I talked to my lawyer. Could this be bait? I asked. He chuckled. With your family? Assume every olive branch is a booby-trapped stick of dynamite. So I ignored it. Again. That Friday, I went out for drinks with my friend Elias, my old roommate, the one I almost had to live with again before I bought my house. I told him the whole saga. The bonus. The banner. The fake baby. The ice sculpture. He shook his head in disbelief. Man, your family isn't just toxic. They're a whole EPA Superfund site. We laughed, but it was true. It stopped being about the money a long time ago. It was about the nerve. The entitlement. The belief that my labor, my success, my future belonged to them. So when I woke up the next morning to another knock on my door, I already knew. I opened it to see my mother standing there. No makeup, no smagismite, just tired eyes and a folder in her hands. I didn't let her in. I just want to say one thing, she said softly, and then I'll go. I didn't answer, but I stepped outside and shut the door behind me. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. I messed up, she said. I know that. I don't expect you to forgive me. I want to give you this. She held out the folder. Inside were several pages. Typed. A letter addressed to me. Another addressed to my employer. Copies of all the receipts she'd used from the joint account. And a handwritten apology. She looked down. You were always the quiet one. I thought that meant I could. Take a little more. I thought you'd always stay. I didn't say a word. Just read the papers, slowly, methodically. Everything I demanded in the counteroffer was there. Every dollar accounted for. I'm not doing this because you threatened me, she said. I'm doing it because I realized something. What's that? I asked quietly. You're not the one who abandoned the family. We are. And we did a long time ago. I stared at her, unsure whether to believe a single word. So what do you want? She shook her head. Nothing. Not anymore. Then she turned and walked away. That night, I slept better than I had in months. But closure's a funny thing. It doesn't always come from apology. Sometimes it comes from ownership. So I did something petty, cathartic, perfect. I took that "Welcome, Baby Emily" banner, the one I had folded and stuffed into a drawer since the party, and mailed it back to Jamie. No note, just the banner. Folded, wrinkled, with a post-it that said, "Hope it was worth it." A week later, my dad sent me an email. Just a link. It was a Zillow listing. My childhood home. Listed for sale. No message. No signature. Just a quiet acknowledgement. They were moving, and I wasn't invited. As for me, I paid off my student loans. I took that long overdue vacation, 2 weeks in the Pacific Northwest, hiking, reading, drinking coffee in the rain. I got a raise. Not because of the bonus. Because of how I handled the HR situation. Clara from HR said, "You kept receipts better than half our legal team." And the cherry on top? That same bonus amount, $9,800, showed up again this year. New quarter, new reward. And this time, when it hit my account, I bought myself something nice. Not a vacation, not a new car, a security system. Because peace isn't just something you earn. It's something you protect. If your family thinks your success belongs to them, remind them it doesn't. Take back your story. And if they throw you a party with stolen money, make sure you're the one who gets the last toast.